Welcome to ISE's FX Options Weekly Outlook, a weekly outlook on the US dollar versus the major currencies, hosted by Jason Ayres, a top industry instructor and founder of OptionSource.net. Learn to trade your views on the strength or weakness of the US dollar.
Well, hi there and Happy New Year, everybody. This is Jason Ayres, founder and president of OptionSource.net with your ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for January 4th to the 10th. As always, we're going to start with a look at our weekly U.S. dollar index. Now, last week's action on the dollar index yielded a marginal strengthening into that 81-82 focal zone. Now, this is where we were anticipating some consolidation, as this area is a natural retracement level of the previous decline. Now, further upside momentum will have us targeting the 84 to 84.5 focal zone as our next upside target. Further weakening will give way to another test of that 77-78 focal zone. A quick look at a daily snapshot reveals the extent of the consolidation that has taken place over the last 2 weeks. However, Friday's higher close supports the probability of a test up into that 84-85 box. With that in mind, let's take a look at our ISE FX options pair values, first of which the CDD, the US versus the Canadian dollar. Now, we were anticipating some consolidation within that 122 to 124 focal zone. However, it is safe to say that the pair value action is rejecting the idea of pushing higher, supporting the probability of further weakening of the US against the Canadian dollar and a test down into this 116 to 118 range. Last week, we saw the YUK, the US versus the Japanese yen, consolidating within this 90 to 91 focal zone here. However, we did suggest in our outlook that there was a probability for the US to strengthen against the Japanese yen, and as anticipated, the close of last week did see this strengthening take place. Now, at this point, it would not be unrealistic to see a bit of a pullback after such a bold move down into the support level identified here at the 90 to 91 range. If support is found here, then there is a high probability that the YUK, the US versus the Japanese yen, will play up into this 93 to 94 focal zone. All right, the 72-73 focal zone remains a strong resistance level for the EUI, the US versus the Euro. Now, at this point, we have to be open to the possibility of a rejection here, which would likely yield a test back down into the 67-68 range. However, with such evident indecision, we have to be open to the possibility of another leg higher into the near-term target between 74 and 75. Okay, let's take a look at the BPX, the US versus the British pound. Last week, we were looking at the high probability of the US dollar strengthening against the British pound, and as anticipated, we observed a strong attempt to break that resistance level identified within the 68 to 69 focal zone. Now, at this point, there appears to be some hesitation. However, a natural retracement could bring the pair value back down to the 66.5 to 67 mark before any continuation to any higher price levels, with the next leg higher testing the 71 to 72 box that's been on our radar for the last several weeks. And finally, the AUX, the US versus the Australian dollar, rejected in at the 146 to 148 focal zone to test the lower range of our target last week down at the 140 to 142. Now, any continuation of this weakening of the US dollar against the Australian dollar, confirmed by a break below the 140 mark, will likely yield a test of the 134 to 136 zone. Now, what we need to watch for is some consolidation here at the 140 to 142 area, with the likelihood for a retest in at that 146 to 148 this week. Okay, let's take a look at a few of our key points. First of all, the US dollar continues to strengthen against most of the major currencies after a significant sell-off. We do still need to see some technical repair work to be confident of a longer-term continuation to the upside. However, with the US dollar index showing signs of strength in the 81 to 82 focal zone, a test of the 84-85 range becomes an increasing probability. We are open to further weakening in the CDD and the AUX. However, the EUI appears to be somewhat somewhat undecided. The BPX continues to struggle with resistance at the 68-69 zone, with a natural retracement likely. However, the 71-72 box is still on our radar. And finally, the YUK appears to have gained a little momentum to the upside. A test of support at the 90-91 zone is anticipated. However, there is a high probability of a test into the 93-94 range. And folks, this has been your ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for January 4th to the 10th. I'm your host, Jason Ayres, founder and president of OptionsSource.net. Here's to a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2009. We'll see you here next week.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. For more information about Jason Ayres and to sign up for free FX Options trade alerts, just visit www.optionsource.net. To learn more about ISE FX Options, including our weekly webinar series, visit us at www.ise.com/fx. ISE FX Options can easily be traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.